What if one of the busiest airports in the world was never really built for airplanes at all? Denver International Airport spans 53 square miles, larger than the island of Manhattan, yet handles a fraction of the flights that would justify its size. Beneath its runways, something else was built first: miles of tunnels. Underground rail systems, structures that, officially, serve no purpose anyone can fully explain. Since it opened in 1995, whispers have followed this airport like a shadow that it isn't just a transportation hub, but a doorway. A doorway to bunkers built for the world's elite, a stage for something the public was never meant to see. Tonight, we're not asking whether the conspiracy is true. We're asking a more. The story begins with money, obscene amounts of it. Denver International Airport cost over $4 billion, nearly $2 billion more than planned. Construction dragged on for 16 months past deadline, plagued by an automated baggage system so disastrous it later became a case study in engineering failure. But delays alone don't build legends. It was what was happening underground during those endless months that caught people's attention. Massive excavation projects, far deeper than any airport should require. Workers spoke of tunnels branching in directions that led nowhere near baggage claims or runways. Local news barely covered it. No official government report has ever fully detailed why the excavation was so extensive. Then came the murals. In the main terminal, 2 large paintings by artist Leo Tanguma were installed, vivid, chaotic, and disturbing. One depicts children in gas masks, weeping over a dying planet. Another shows a soldier with a sword and rifle, standing before rows of caskets, war and destruction painted in the background. A dove of peace appears, but the surrounding imagery feels closer to apocalypse than comfort. The artist claimed the murals represented hope after global conflict, a message of unity and healing. But most travelers didn't read the plaques. They just saw fear, painted in permanent color, greeting them as they arrived. Why would an airport, a place built for comfort and convenience, choose imagery this unsettling? Officials. Next, the gargoyle. Tucked in a corner of the terminal sits a bronze statue of a demonic-looking figure, sculpted with wings and claws, emerging from an open suitcase. Officially, it's meant to represent the very baggage-handling disaster that plagued construction, a symbolic joke about lost luggage. But symbolism has weight, whether intended or not. To those already suspicious, the statue looked less like a joke and more like an omen. Why place something so overtly demonic inside a family-friendly public space? Why did no one think twice before installing it? Small choices like this rarely mean much on their own. But conspiracies rarely form from one clue. They form from dozens of small. Then there's the capstone, a marker embedded in the airport's floor, engraved with symbols instantly recognized by conspiracy researchers, the square and compass of the Freemasons. Beneath it, an inscription references something called the New World Airport Commissions, an organization with no public records, no known members, no verifiable history. To skeptics, it's simply a dedication plaque, common in construction projects worldwide. To others, it's a signature, proof that secretive organizations were involved in shaping the airport's true purpose. The phrase New World alone was enough to ignite decades of theories about global elites building infrastructure for a hidden agenda. Nobody has ever definitively identified who commissioned that plaque. And in the absence, now picture the horse. A 32-foot fiberglass sculpture named Blue Mustang stands near the airport entrance, its eyes glowing a haunting red at night. Locals call it Lucifer. It seems less like public art and more like a warning sign made physical. Its creator, sculptor Luis Jimenez, died during its construction. A piece of the statue fell and severed an artery in his leg. The statue was completed by his family and installed regardless. To some, this was simply tragedy. To others, it became proof of a curse, a sacrifice, intentional or symbolic, embedded into the airport's very entrance. Coincidence explains most strange deaths in this world. But coincidence has never stopped human beings from searching. Beneath the runways lies an actual, verified underground transit system. Automated trains moving passengers between concourses. This much is fact. But conspiracy theorists claim these tunnels extend far beyond what's publicly acknowledged, connecting to massive underground facilities capable of housing thousands of people. Some claim these are bunkers meant for government officials and global elites in the event of catastrophe. Denver's high elevation, central location, and remote surrounding land make it geographically ideal for exactly this kind of contingency planning. The U.S. government has built underground facilities before. Cheyenne Mountain and the Greenbrier Bunker are proof that secrecy and survival infrastructure are not fantasy. Adding fuel to the fire, several time capsules were buried during the airport's dedication ceremony in 1994. Officially, they contain items representing Colorado's culture and history, meant to be opened decades later. But rumors quickly spread that certain capsules were sealed under Masonic supervision, their true contents unknown even to airport officials. Why bury something you can't verify the meaning of? Why allow secrecy, even harmless secrecy, into a public ceremony? Every unanswered detail becomes another thread in an ever-expanding tapestry. And once you start pulling on enough threads, the picture that emerges no longer feels random. It feels engineered, a puzzle intentionally built to be almost. Denver officials have addressed these theories publicly, more than once. Airport representatives have explained the murals, the sculptures, the tunnels, even offering public tours in recent years specifically to dispel the rumors. They insist there are no secret bunkers, no hidden elite facilities, no globalist ritual chambers beneath the runways. And, to their credit, much of what conspiracy theorists claim has been reasonably explained through simple bureaucracy, artistic interpretation, or coincidence. But explanations don't always kill a myth. Sometimes they only deepen it. Because once an institution feels the need to publicly deny something enough times, people begin to wonder what, exactly, prompted the need to explain it in the first place. Perhaps the truth isn't as dramatic as underground cities built for a shadow government. Perhaps it's something more human, a series of unrelated decisions, artistic choices, and unfortunate coincidences misread by a public primed to distrust power. After all, we live in an age where secrecy, even mundane secrecy, feels sinister by default. Governments rarely explain themselves fully. Corporations rarely disclose everything. And when large institutions stay silent, humans have always filled that silence with their deepest fears projected outward, given form and myth. Denver's airport may be nothing more than a mirror, reflecting our own unease about power we can't see and decisions made. But here's the unsettling part. Even if every individual claim about Denver International Airport has an innocent explanation, the underlying anxiety they represent is not irrational. We live in a world where global elites do gather in private, where governments have built secret facilities before, where infrastructure decisions are made without public consent or knowledge. The myth of Denver's airport survives not because it's necessarily true, but because it captures something real, our growing suspicion that the systems shaping our lives operate on a level we're never allowed to fully see. Maybe that's the real conspiracy. Not what's buried beneath the runways, but how easily we've accepted living above secrets will never be shown. So the next time you find yourself walking through Denver International Airport, glance up at the murals. Notice the horse with its glowing red eyes. Walk past the engraved floor marker without slowing down, the way most travelers do. Ask yourself why so much unease was built into a place meant only to help you catch a flight. Maybe there's nothing beneath the surface but concrete, cables, and forgotten bureaucracy. Or maybe the truth was never meant to be found, only felt, quietly, every time you pass through those terminals and sense something you can't quite explain. Because sometimes, the most powerful mysteries aren't the ones with answers. They're the ones that make you keep looking, long after you've landed.